Hello and welcome back to the Growth Circle podcast. My name is Lincoln Amstutz, and today I'm going to be going over 6 mistakes people often make when getting started in their real estate investing journey. Now, these are 6 mistakes that I personally had to struggle through and work on as I was getting started in my business, and this will apply specifically to real estate, but also a variety of businesses and things that can be avoided when getting into something new. So let's jump right in with number 1. And number 1 I have as overeducating. And overeducating is the first one I have on the list because it's something that not only I struggled with for some time when getting started in real estate and wholesaling and investing there, but it's something I see a lot of people struggle with because when it comes to education, it's crucial, right? It's not a matter of if you should or shouldn't do that. Everybody knows you've got to have a baseline understanding of anything before jumping into it. But the issue lies in doing it to such an extent that you never really get started on the actions that are going to lead you towards the goals that you are looking to achieve. And so for me, what I found is that as I learned something, I needed to equally learn and then implement, and finding a healthy balance there. Because there's a lot of times you can get on this hamster wheel of hearing the same content over and over again, whether it's on YouTube videos or in books, even meeting up with other people that are in the industry you want to be in. Those are all good things. Those are things that we should all be doing to better ourselves and grow an understanding of what we're trying to do. But a lot of the times it's repeat. It's over and over again to the point that it's excessive and that we've heard it enough. It's really not adding anything to our understanding of this business that we're in. It's instead just taking away time from acting those things out. So there is a time and place for educating, but people often spend more time educating than acting. And that's the separation I want to make, is that while we need to continually be learning, really the best learning comes from the action itself, right? And that's what I found. For me, when I was getting started in wholesaling and real estate, I always had this question around like the title process. How does that work? I've got my contract. I'm going to have the seller sign this thing. And then what? I know there's a title company. I know that they help with the closing, but what does that look like? I had so many questions around that part of the transaction and deal that it kept me from getting into my first deal for a little bit because I was worried about not being able to handle that when that time came. But when I finally did get into my first deal, got a house under contract, I realized that's really the easiest part of the whole process. All you have to do is take that contract to a title company. They're more than happy to work with you. You're giving them business. They would love to create a new relationship. You take that contract to them. They do their title search, making sure it's clean and clear, putting all the pieces together, and then meet up for closing. And that's not something I would have fully understood and fully realized that process unless I got into it like I did. So that's one example of, yes, there's some things I can learn about the title process, but it really wasn't until I took the action and got there that I learned properly how that process worked. So number 1 is don't overeducate. Make sure you have a baseline understanding before you get into anything, but don't be in this cycle of feeling like you're getting things done, right? Because you're learning and you're talking about it with your friends, but there's never actually anything that's getting put into motion that's moving you closer towards your first deal, your first sale, whatever that might be. That's number 1, overeducate. All right, the second mistake that people will often make when getting started in real estate investing is spending time in the wrong places. Now, your time is the most important thing you have, right? There's a limited amount that you have each and every day, and it's crucial where you spend that time, right? If you're not spending it on aspects of the business that are going to directly lead you to a deal or a sale, whatever that is, then you're going to fall way behind in this process. It's going to take much longer than if you know exactly what's going to lead you towards that first sale, because once you get there, you have that understanding of, okay, this is the process. You make that money so you can reinvest and it speeds up everything. So we've got to know how to spend our time. And I would challenge you to only work on the actions that directly lead you to getting a deal. That's it. Only the actions that you know that if I do this, right, it's going to lead me to this next step. And then once I'm at that second step, I know this third step must happen, and on and on and on until that deal happens. Now, let's break down a specific example of doing a house flip, of the actions to focus on and to not focus on. So when it comes down to flipping a house, the first thing is the deal. You know you have to have a good deal. It all starts with that. And what would that look like? That's going to get connected either with realtors or wholesalers or people that are selling good investment deals, right? So you've got to focus on who are those people, where can I find this? And then it's a matter of analyzing a lot of deals, going through a lot of properties, running the numbers, and making offers. So for me, when I first got started, that was a lot of my time. That's a lot of what I spent my time doing, was looking through a lot of properties, contacting a lot of homeowners and running those numbers, seeing what can I offer for this property and putting those out one after the other after the other. If I am putting out, 5, 10 offers a day because of the amount of leads I'm going through, the amount of houses I'm looking at, I'm going to get one so much faster than the guy that's focusing on other aspects of structuring his business rather than the deal itself. So that's the first thing, is you have to find the deal. After that, you're going to need the money. So either for, a wholesaler, right? If you're going to wholesale it, you're going to need to find somebody else that has the money. Or if you're going to flip it and take it down yourself, you've got to know where that money is coming from when you get that house under contract. Now, there's all different levels of risk tolerance in this. You can have no idea or very little idea where that money is coming from until you get that deal. But you know that once you have that house under contract, that's going to be the spur that you need to go out and start talking to people, talking to banks, private lenders to get that money for the house. You could literally wait until you have something under contract to do so, or it would not be a bad thing to have that set up ahead of time as one of those practical actions, steps you're taking in order to do this first flip in our example. So you've got to have the money, knowing where that's coming from. And again, that's going to be talking to a variety of people and banks that have that money, other investors that you work with or know who are the people that they are borrowing from. That would be a very practical thing leading you towards your first deal. Once you have that under contract, or once you're close to getting something under contract, then you would focus on this. Now, the third thing is, if you're doing a flip, once again, you're going to need to have the contractors or the tools necessary in order to do so. If you're going to fix it up yourself, that's one thing, right? You got to have the understanding necessary of how to go about this. But often, if you're going to hire a contractor to do the work, you've got to know generally where you're going to look to find this person. You don't want to get stuck with this property, have bought it, and now you're just waiting for somebody to work. I would say that once you have this house under contract and you're in that process of escrow and closing, now heavily start looking for this person that you're going to utilize. Often contractors are backed up several weeks, especially the good ones. So you want to get on that as quick as you can after the house is under contract, but that would be a practical next step to take. Followed by the fourth is you need to have a realtor ready to list the property. You need to have some sort of contact that is going to have pictures taken, a description made, and clients to send this to right off the bat once it's renovated, ready to go, so that it's one after the other. But this isn't necessarily a step that you need to take or something you need to focus on until you're in that place of a completed house or halfway rehabbed. Then you can start looking around for a realtor if you don't have one already. But that would be a very linear process of actions that are going to directly lead towards you doing your first flip, right? What are some things that would be a waste of time? Well, one of those being creating a website right off the bat. Like, I just got to have a website for my company so that people can look it up, they can know I'm legitimate, or even a Facebook page. Not necessarily something that you need to get up right off the bat. Or making business cards, right? Business cards can be great, getting your contact in front of somebody, showing you're professional, but not necessary to getting you a first deal, a first flip. or even starting an LLC oftentimes. Now, there are some times it would be beneficial to have one ahead of time and to set that up. But for me in my wholesaling business specifically, I didn't have an LLC for half of a year before, while getting into real estate and doing what I was doing. You can work out of your name a lot of the time. So don't let that be such a holdup of I have to get this done before I can do a deal. You can do that during the process of your first deal or even after you've done a few. So those are just a few things of time wasters, things that aren't directly going to lead towards your first sale, your first deal. And that can also go along with having to, you feel like, master the art of negotiation, master the art of talking to people and what do I say, the right scripts, writing down all these operation manuals for the processes you're going to go about. That will all come with time as you perfect your craft and as you get better and better. What you need to focus on is just doing the same things over and over again. Of course, testing out different lingo, different questions that will help in your negotiation. But you don't have to master anything right now. It's just a matter of those repetitions of doing one thing after the other that's going to lead you towards where you want to be and focusing only on those actions and nothing else. So that is the second mistake people often make, is spending time in the wrong places. I would challenge you to spend those on actionable steps that lead you towards your goal, and only that. Nothing else. The rest can come later after you have some momentum and some money coming in. All right, the third mistake that people often make when getting started in real estate investing is a lack of focus. Now, focus is so crucial when it comes to starting a company, to starting a business, because focus is what allows you to get better and better at one specific thing. It allows you to master this skill set and truly understand the business that you're in. Now, let's take a look at real estate, for example. Just within real estate, you might say, okay, I'm going to be a real estate investor. That's what I'm doing. That's my focus. But we've got to niche down even more than that, because there's so many things that you could branch off and do even within this one industry, right? You've got flipping houses. You have holding as rental properties. You have wholesaling. You've got syndicating. You've got even being a realtor on there, and many other ways that you could spend your time focusing on. But I'd say even with all those, you need to choose one to start with. Now, you look at like, say, an Elon Musk of the world, somebody that has all these different companies, a lot of different things going on. Of course, he is in a different position than you and I starting out, because he has built up these companies and they are true businesses that have management teams, that have operations, and now he can shift his time elsewhere. And so the idea of the serial entrepreneur that has his hands in everything, it's really just he's losing out on truly mastering one specific business and taking it as far as he or she could go, right? There are 10,000 different businesses and companies that can be $1 million companies, $10 million companies, right? It could be a cleaning company, right? It could be a software company. It could be real estate. It's not so much what it is you're doing, but the focus and the intentionality you give to that which you are doing. And so I would say, if you're in real estate and that's what you want to be doing, you want to be building up rentals long-term, or you want to be flipping houses, whatever it might be, focus in, at least for the first several years, on a very specific niche and aspect of what you are doing. And you've got to be willing to say no to a lot of things. A lot of opportunities will start coming along of, well, hey, you could join in with me on this day trading that I'm doing, right? I'm getting this company started here. Or, hey, I'm hearing about about drop shipping, right? My friend's getting into this and I want to invest there. Maybe I'll start doing that on the side. There's a whole host of different opportunities that can come along, but it's the ones that say no to all of those other things that are constantly flooding in, because they will, right? Especially when you start seeing some success and other people see you doing well in your endeavors, they're going to bring their opportunities. You've got to be willing to say no to those to focus on the one thing that you are trying to master and be the best at. Because when you focus on that, you're able to truly build a company around it, right? If you've got your hands in 5, 10 different things right off the bat, I'm going to do a little bit of of flipping, and then I'm going to do a little bit of long-term rental, a little bit of wholesaling, and you do that all right at the beginning. You've got so many different parts and pieces that you've got to learn. How does this work? How do I train somebody in this? What's my process like for this? And your time gets spread so thin on a variety of different things that you can't truly master the one that you want to get good at, and then you scale vertically. So that's the third point, is a mistake that people make is that lack of focus. The fourth mistake is waiting for home run deals. This is definitely something I've seen some people fall into issue with, is waiting until they have so much margin on a deal. It's just so undeniable that this will work out that finally then they'll get in to doing the transaction, doing the deal. And to be honest, this just hardly ever is going to happen. Now, I've heard people that have got into it and have had great success right off the bat, but everyone knows that not every deal is going to be this huge home run, this huge win. Oftentimes, success is built up of a lot of little wins along the way, and that's what you've got to be willing to take early on, especially, right? Because until you really get into doing deals, you don't know what is a home run or what is bad, what is good, and what's normal for this industry that I'm in, for what I'm trying to achieve here. So be willing to get those base hits over and over again, and that will lead you to these home run deals that you hear about, right? That there's all these success stories of, but that's not the reality of the day-to-day getting started in something. Don't, again, cushion yourself so much that, well, you know, the average wholesale deal in my area, they say, is $10,000. But, you know, really, I'm going to wait till I get a $20,000 wholesale just so I know that there's plenty of room and that I won't make a mistake. When you do that, you're just delaying your entry into this business. You're delaying the speed at which you can get started. Be willing to step into it only making maybe even a couple thousand, or maybe you partner with somebody and it's no profit at all, but you got the experience of a transaction, of a deal. For myself personally, I was waiting, right, for a kind of that home run or for a larger transaction for a while, and it just wasn't coming. The margins weren't there. And so eventually I came across this property that the guy was owning $15,000, right? And really, for my numbers to work perfectly, to be, you know, that profit margin that I heard you were supposed to have, I need to get the house for like $6,000 or $7,000, way less, next to nothing, right? It's cheap as it is, but this is a fire-burned house, really rough, bad part of town. But I was like, you know what? I know that I can sell this for still in the teens, the upper teens, 18, 19,000, based off on my numbers. That would still work. So I ended up negotiating. I did get it under contract for $12,000, right? Sold it for $18,000. So I made my spread there of $6,000. It was just $5,500 after closing cost. And I was willing to take that, right? It was, sure, maybe more of a base hit, still great to start. I was ecstatic. You know, by no means was that a small amount for me. But the point is, if I went off of getting the perfect margins and all these things, I would have waited until I found a deal way down the line where it finally made sense, versus being willing to take a little bit smaller of a margin than what they say is possible. So sometimes you just got to be willing to get into the game here. One huge aspect here is being willing to partner with other people on your first few transactions, or being willing to partner with people along the way in your real estate journey. There is such power in being willing to take half of the profit on a deal, just so that you can walk alongside of somebody else who may have more experience, or maybe going along this process with you, because you bring different dynamics and different insights. It's so much greater to do a partner deal than to not do one at all, right? There's the common analogy of, it's better to have 50% of a watermelon than 100% of a grape, right? We'd rather have half of this large deal, right, because we're willing to partner, we're willing to work with somebody on it, than having this all to ourselves, right? There can be that tendency of, well, I did this all by myself. I kind of get the credit for it. It makes me maybe feel better knowing that I went through this alone. But in reality, if you're willing to partner along with somebody that has a different skill set, different experiences, that's going to lead to so much more. I've got a guy that I'm working with right now that he's brand new in real estate, hasn't done any transactions, and he approached me, and because he's utilizing the buyer's list, the negotiation skills, the running the numbers on properties, he's utilizing those expertise that we have now developed. And because of that, he brought a lead to us that perhaps he could have taken down all on his own, but he wasn't confident in that process. He brought it to us. We helped negotiate the deal. We now have sold it and assigned it to a new buyer, and we're going to close on it here in about a month. And he's going to make 50% of this transaction, right? But if he would have tried to do this on his own, try and go for the home run, he may have not had this happen at all. So the lesson here is be willing to partner with people, right, to make something happen that may not have happened at all, even if that means cutting down on the profit that you might make, because there will be plenty of time for you to do deals on your own, to have the home runs that might come along, but don't expect those to happen right off the bat, and be willing to partner up with other people who are already doing what you are looking to get into in business. The fifth mistake that people can make when getting started is not being persistent, right? It's not sticking to your goals long enough to see them come to fruition. This is, to me, one of the biggest things that distinguishes people that have made it to their goals, to this place of success that they are looking to achieve, from those that don't. It's this persistence and consistency in those actions over and over again that will lead them to those places, right? I have heard this analogy actually from Brandon Turner of Bigger Pockets, and I think it's spot on with building and starting a business, that we all start over here on this one, I'd say the mainland, right? And you have this island over here of the place of success that you're trying to achieve, that your goal, right? Whatever that might be, financial freedom. This is the place that you're trying to get to, and there's the water in between. Well, when you're starting a company, you're starting a bridge to get to that place, and you're building this bridge, and you're making progress, you're doing some deals, you're hiring your employee, you're building some systems, and at a certain point, though, you get frustrated, right? You're not there yet. You haven't made it to that place that you're trying to get to, and some other opportunity or some other business comes along. You're like, you know what? I haven't quite made it yet. I've spent a couple years at this. Let me start another bridge. Let me start something new. And so you start not adding on to the current bridge that you're building now, but you start a whole separate one because it's a new company, right? And so you start building out this new one. Maybe you were in real estate, but now you are getting into digital marketing. You're starting a digital marketing company. You're learning that now, and you're building that new bridge. And you're even making some money along the way. But this goal of, say, financial freedom and time freedom, you haven't achieved it yet because your bridge has not yet been built there. And so what I'm saying is, what this analogy is referring to and getting at, is that you must remain consistent long enough to get there, right? We touched on there are 10,000 different businesses you could jump into, but you've got to choose the one and stick with it long enough that will reach the success that you're looking for, right? It's the snowball effect. It's tough for a while. You're pushing up this hill, you're trying to grow this thing, and you're doing all the work, you're wearing all of the hats, but eventually you're able to hire things out, you're able to make better connections, better processes, and then all of a sudden, this snowball has gotten to a size and over the hill where it's now falling down on its own, and it's rolling, and you've reached that place that you're trying to get to because you stuck with it long enough. So I would encourage you that no matter what you're getting into off the bat here, find what you truly are passionate about and what you truly enjoy, and stick with that one thing, and don't look back, don't turn to something different, right? Stick with that all the way through. So be persistent in what you are doing. And now this leads us to the sixth and final mistake that people can make when getting started in real estate investing and starting their business, and that is playing it safe. Playing it safe is such an easy tendency, right? It's what we default to because as humans, right, we're trying to constantly protect ourselves and make sure that we're okay from the risks on the outside and the unseen, the unexpected. But the truth is, when starting a company, when starting something brand new, you're going to have to take risks. You cannot play it safe. And part of this is sharing whatever you are looking to get into with other people, right? If it is real estate investing, it's talking to the people in your life, in your circle about that what you're trying to do, talking to your family about it, because this becomes a natural accountability for you to take steps forward and to make it happen. If you're just keeping this to yourself of, well, I'll make this happen and then I'll tell others, that's playing it safe. That's not being willing to put yourself out there and making a statement of, hey, I'm going for this. I'm going to put time and energy into this. I'm trying to achieve these goals. Because as soon as you put that out there, you know that other people have heard that and that they might be questioning and they might come to you and ask, hey, how's that going? How's that business that you're looking to start? And it becomes a natural accountability for you to get into the business. So that's something that might be outside of your comfort zone of talking to other people about that, what you're trying to do, but it's a great way to get into it. And when it comes down to business, you have to realize there's always going to be risk, right? We're stepping into something that there is no structure necessarily that we can walk directly into. There are the examples of others that have been there already, and so that reduces the risk, right? We can model things that are proven to work. But at the end of the day, if you're wanting to do it on your own, there's going to be that risk of, okay, I might not know where my income is coming from. I might not know when I'm going to get these deals under contract that I'm trying to get. We're going to have to see. Or maybe you have a house under contract and you're trying to sell it. Maybe it doesn't sell. Maybe a market cycle comes through and everything falls down. These are things that could happen, but that's why we get into it, right? It's the high risk, high reward, low risk, low reward. And that's why you're getting into the business you are. And another part of this not playing it safe might be if you're in school, dropping out of school to pursue this full time. You know that if you took all of your time to focus on this, it would actually get you where you need to be. It would actually motivate you enough to build the business that you want. Maybe it's you are still working or you are still in school and this is part-time, but it's not playing it safe and not just throwing 30 minutes or an hour at it each day, right? Because you have that and that's fine. But that's not really going to get you anywhere fast. Maybe you need to cut out some of the other entertainment, some of the other social time, and you're spending a good 3-4 hours on this every single day so that you actually have time to get some momentum, to get things built up and get things rolling. That might be what you need to do and not playing it safe, but to go at it full time. There's this great quote from Jerry Rice that is inspiring on this. And it's, today I will do what others won't so that tomorrow I can do what others can't. We're putting ourselves in positions, we're making the hard decisions of saying no to what we'd rather do or what's safer so that we can achieve what others won't be able to because we've put ourselves in those positions. So that is such a huge part of not playing it safe, not just going down the same paths that the rest of society does, but knowing that, hey, I want to build this, I want to create something here, and that's going to take some extra time, some extra effort on all these other things we've talked about, the persistence, the focus, the implementing. This is what is required to start an effective business and to grow a business that's going to last for years and years to come. So those are the 6 mistakes that people often make when getting started into real estate investing. I share these because they are things that I have had to work on myself, that I've been working through over the last few years, but hopefully are an encouragement and a help to you on things you can avoid to get where you're going faster with real estate investing. Now, in conclusion, I would like to thank you for watching this video all the way through. I hope that this has been some valuable content that you can take and apply as you get started and as you continue to grow your company in real estate investing or whatever it is that you have going on. If you found value in this, I'd ask if you could share it with somebody else who may benefit from this content. Definitely leave us a 5-star review wherever you're watching. Give us a like. Follow us, Growth Circle Podcast on all different social medias. I'm Lincoln Amstutz, and thank you for tuning in. We'll catch you next time.